Buckle up, Valorant gamers. Patch 3.06 is here, and Riot has given us some huge agent changes, along with some map environment changes that will drastically affect how you play the game. What is going on, ProGuides family? It is your host, Sergeant Frost, and today we have the patch 3.06 rundown for you guys. There's a lot to cover in this patch as Riot is trying to squash some of the problems in the current meta, so let's not waste any more time and hop right into the agent changes. If you have played the game since the start of episode 3, it is no secret that SKYE has become a straight up menace to society in-game. And Riot is finally tweaking her kit a bit to bring down her annoyance factor, all while not touching the parts of her kit that are unproblematic. The unequip time after casting or bending Guiding Light projectile has been increased from 0.5 to 0.75. The wind-up time after activation before the flash goes off has been increased from 0.25 to 0.3. And on top of that, SKYE's Ultimate Seekers is getting its ult point cost increased from 6 to 7. SKYE as an agent is a hot button topic that is highly controversial in Valorant at the moment. A lot of people do love SKYE, and they love how powerful she is after she got buffed in patch 3.0. And on the flip side of that coin, a lot of people hate SKYE and think she's the most annoying agent in the game at the moment. Riot has a great explanation surrounding how they went about diagnosing SKYE's problems and how they chose to balance her. Let's look at a quick quote from the devs on the matter. "We've liked that SKYE's been able to play off her own flash more and more, but lately there's a sense that it's become too effective and optimal to play off herself in some situations. An increase to the unequip time should make it slightly more difficult for SKYE to capitalize on Guiding Light bird flashes as quickly as before, making coordinated play or different styles of flashes more competitive. The increased activation time aims to give prepared enemies a slightly larger window to react, without trivializing her main initiator tool. Also, we've seen both the frequency of SKYE's ult and its effectiveness increase as players have become more skilled with the agent. Looking at the recon and impact it can provide, it now seems more appropriate amongst the ultimates that cost 7 points. It looks like the game devs weren't a fan of how selfish and solo play oriented SKYE became after her episode 3 buffs. They wanted to tone down her kit to force her back into the initiator role of supporting her teammates first and then worrying about herself second. SKYE has become so bad recently that a lot of pro teams played her like a duelist and subbed out their second duelist for a SKYE in pro matches. Targeting SKYE's equip speed in which she can pull out her gun after popping a flash, and increasing the flash's wind-up time will affect SKYE heavily. Now, you won't be able to pop flash a corner instantly and get your gun up in an instant to fry an enemy that had no chance to escape or retaliate. On top of that, she shouldn't be able to get her ultimate as much either since the point cost is now up to 7. I really like these SKYE changes because they managed to change SKYE in a meaningful way without hitting her too hard with the nerf hammer. SKYE is still very much viable and useful after these changes, and even though she has become a little less overtuned after these changes, you as a player can still find ways to make her work as an agent in-game. That's why if you want to master an agent or realize your potential in-game, coaching is always a beneficial option, and we can help. I was just told that there's an offer where if you download the mobile app, you can get a free coaching session. Our Radiant and Immortal level coaches on ProGuides.com are trained to help you improve no matter the level you're at, and each session is tailored to your specific needs, so don't be shy. Come check us out with a link in the description below. Oh boy, the devs finally did it. Jett nerfs coming in hot and heavy in patch 3.06. Let's break down what this means for the most prolific duelist in the game. Cloudburst changes have now been reduced from 3 to 2. Bladestorm right-click alt-fire mode now no longer recharges Jett knives after a right-click kill. And lastly, Bladestorm's right-click alt-fire damage changes have been reverted. Damage and multipliers will now mirror the left-click mode. To quickly give some context to this change in particular, way earlier last year in patch 1.09, Jett's right-click alt-fire in her ultimate got its headshot multiplier reduced from 3 times to 2 times, and the daggers that were thrown in burst had a damage fall-off that begins at 12 meters and drops steadily to 35 damage at max fall-off. Those nerfs have now been reverted in patch 3.06. So, where do we begin with these changes? First off, Jett has been one of the undisputed best agents in Valorant, yet alone the best duelist in the game for quite some time now. With or without her AWP, Jett has found a way to be a menace in game, and Riot has taken some drastic steps to bring her power level down in the name of game balance. And while that might be controversial to some players because Jett is still one of the highest picked agents, I think it's about time she got some balance changes that will make her more fair to play against. So first off with the ultimate changes, while they do seem harsh, they are still justifiable, because right-click alt-fire is very easy to confirm a kill with, and therefore should not allow Jett to chain so many kills together freely because of it. Say goodbye to the Korean Jett right-click ult montages. They were nice to watch, but after these changes they will be no more. On top of getting her ultimate changed, Jett now only has 2 smoke clouds instead of 3. This change will be heavily felt by attacking Jetts, because her cloudbursts were her lifeline to help her stay alive and get out of sticky situations. Now that she only has 2, Jett mains have to be really meticulous about where, when, why, and how they use their smokes. This nerf could curtail a lot of Jett mains from doing their famous Jett dash into smoke and jump out of it with knives combo that so many of us know and love. And at the end of the day, Jett is still a good agent simply because her dash is still intact. But she for sure is no longer at the top of our S tier and our tier list. These Jett nerfs open the door for more duelists to come back to prominence in the meta. And lastly, for agent changes, KAYO is getting some much needed tweaks to his flashes and ultimate. Flash drive duration of wind-up telegraph has been reduced from 0.5 seconds to 0.3 seconds, and the duration of wind-up telegraph on the right click has been reduced from 1 second to 0.3 seconds. Also, one of the most meaningful changes to his flash, the audio attached to the in-flight projectile has been removed. And lastly, for his ultimate, null CMD does not stop pulsing even after KAYO gets downed. Let's start this section off by saying that KAYO was one of the most underused agents in Valorant after his launch, and these buffs are much needed to slowly bring him back into the meta. Two of the smallest yet biggest changes in this patch for him is that his ultimate doesn't stop pulsing even after he gets downed, and his flashbang now has its audio removed while it's in flight. The flash drive change makes it so that KAYO's flash is unpredictable, and it's now a lot harder for enemies to play around it or try to dodge it, mostly because the audio cue that told them it was coming is now gone. And for his null CMD change, KAYO now still provides value just by popping his ultimate. The fact that it still pulses while he's downed means that now he has even more reason to be the first person in after he pops his ultimate. The devs admitted in this patch that they wanted a lot of KAYO's power to come from how he threw out his flashes in game, but when he released, they underestimated how telegraphed his flashes were and how that was negatively impacting his performance in game. Hopefully these buffs will bring KAYO up a little bit in the meta, because this is a good stepping stone for him to become viable. Now let's move on to map updates. For map updates, Riot is tweaking Fracture before it releases into the regular game modes. The tunnel, generator, canteen areas can no longer be penetrated, and the one crate on B site is no longer penetrable. This should create a safer planning option for attackers while retaining its riskier but more powerful option. Riot is going to change how the pen status works for some of the Radianite crates on several maps. Attackers have been having a really hard time lately with planting safely after the Radianite crates got a change where it made it much easier to wallbang through them. Riot is trying to help fix this issue by changing some of the boxes around common plant spots on several maps. So let's talk about the maps in question. On the map ICEBOX, the crate stack on B site is no longer pennable. On Haven, the one stack of crates on C site is no longer pennable as well. On ASCENT, the one crate on A site is no longer pennable. On Bind, the one stack of crates on A site is no longer pennable as well. All these changes are to create a safer planning option for the attackers. So why did all these pennable changes come through in this patch? Well, several patches ago, Riot made it a lot easier to shoot through Radianite crates on all maps, and I think they underestimated how dangerous this made planting while on attack. To reverse some of the problems that the Radianite crate change created, Riot has made several crates on 5 maps no longer pennable, which means attackers should have a much better chance of safely planting the spike behind them. And on defense, this gives a safe spot for the defenders to hide where they don't have to worry about being pre-fire wallbanged. In my opinion, these changes are very good for all of these maps as it creates a much needed balance for both the attacker and defender sides. On the game system update side, for all of you users on the PvE, your settings for live and PvE have been split, and your settings should no longer be wiped when going in between the two environments. And lastly, for bug fixes, the ICEBOX minimap and vision cones will now correctly display near B yellow callout, and deathmatch penalties will no longer prevent you from getting banned for AFKing. Well guys, that's all we have for the patch 3.06 rundown. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to drop a like and consider subscribing to our channel. We upload new videos just like this one every single day, and the best way to stay notified of that is by ringing that notification bell. Also, don't forget to check out ProGuides.com to gain some access to some truly amazing coaching. This has been your host, Sergeant Frost, and I'll see you all again in the next one.